I'm Cori Crenshaw.
I'm Richie Suave Flores.
And this is Sporty with Cori and Richie Suave.
Floater, center field. The Diamondbacks are world champions.
Down is the motion man. Little flip to Fitzgerald. He scores. And the Cardinals win an amazing game.
Mikhail Bucker with a chance. He walks in. He scores. Mikhail Bucker for the second straight game is the hero.
Sporty Nation, welcome into the show. Sporty with Cori and Richie Suave. Cori and Richie here with you as always on the show. As on this episode, we are going to talk more about the Arizona Diamondbacks and why we are not big fans of Patrick Corbin. We're going to do the big Coyotes news of the week, Jacob Chychrun, and we're also going to talk about Kurt Warner, former Ram, former Cardinal, went into Hall of Fame over this weekend. But Cori, welcome back. Pleasure to be with you as always on the show. It's going to be a busy show, and we're going to have some fun too later on as well.
Yes, it should be a very interesting show. There wasn't anything massive that happened in sports, but there's a bunch of little things that we'd like to cover. And it's going to be a lot of fun towards the end of the show because we will be asking each other questions about each other and seeing how much we really know about our co-hosts.
Yes, it's a brand new game show we're going to do starting this week, probably the one and only time we're going to do it. It's a game I like to call, How Well Do You Know Your Co-Host?
That was a very, very good hosting, game show host voice. I liked it.
Thank you. Only thing is we need like the Bob Barker mic. I think that would be more apt for a game show.
Do you need, what was it? It was Barker's Beauties, so you could be Richie's, I don't know, Richard's, I don't know. We'll have to come up with something. If someone has like a version of
my groupies have a name
of Barker's Beauties there for you.
So that's coming up at the end of the show, so stick around for that. But before we get into the news of the week, let's make sure you know where to follow us and whatnot. If you're watching us on YouTube, make sure to look below you, click like on the video that you're watching right now. Make sure you subscribe to us as well so that we get notified every time we get a new episode up for you to check out every week. And then we also are on pretty much every social media site as well, except for MySpace. But we're everywhere else. Where can people follow the show on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, all those goodies?
Who really is on MySpace anymore? If you are on MySpace, please tell me why. And if it's not a good explanation, I will just think that you are stuck in the early 2000s and you are sitting in your car watching or listening to Simple Plan all day long, and you will be discredited. But you can follow us on Twitter at Cori _ Richie Show. Sorry, the underscore thing sometimes passes me there. And then you can follow us individually. Mine's at Cori Nicole with 2 E's. There's also someone with 3 E's, apparently.
Yes.
So not 1, not 3, but 2.
And then you can follow my personal Twitter account at rflores91. And then we also have an Instagram account as well, which is Cori Richie Show on Instagram.
I'm pretty sure everything else after that is Cori Richie Show. If you look up like my name and his name and show, you'll find it.
We have so many to keep track of. We don't even know.
I'm pretty sure it's just Cori Richie Show.
So do all that, and follow us. Get the latest updates when you can see us. But let's get into this because, again, we're taping on Sunday afternoon as we always do. So we actually have the Diamondbacks Giants rubber game on the TV. And as we were watching the game, it kind of programmed our show for us because Patrick Corbin is on the hill again for the Snakes, and he is struggling. And we do apologize because the game is going on right now because you're probably going to be watching this later, but he is not off to a good start again.
I know, impressive. We're doing this off of our the tip of our toes right here. We kind of threw everything else out the window and decided to start talking about this because we got a little bit frustrated at what was going on in the game, and Richie was also a little bit frustrated about all of the base running. If you didn't see his tweet from yesterday about everyone being too aggressive on the bases and getting these outs that really shouldn't have been outs. They should have just stayed where they were. But one of the biggest problems that we were seeing with our rotation was Patrick Corbin. Patrick Corbin's stats haven't been absolutely terrible. Like, they're not good either. They're not like the worst. I don't know how to say this in the nicest way. I mean, like, they're not really bad, but they're not anything that can compete with the Dodgers. And number one in our division is the Dodgers. And the reason why is because of their pitching. So we can't be, having a 4.9 ERA and an 8-10 win-loss and a 1.57 whip. And it's not even 100% him. I don't know what it is when he's on the mound. Everyone just self-implodes. It's never good when we get to his part of the rotation. I don't know why it turned into that way. I mean, in previous seasons, it hasn't been that way, but this season, it's just been slowly imploding.
Yeah, he's been the weakest link of this Diamondbacks rotation by far. I mean, you look at the rest of the rotation, and 1 to 4, I think the Diamondbacks can stack up with just about anybody in the rest of the National League. For goodness sake, even Zach Godley, who didn't make this team out of spring training, has come in and has solidified himself as a guy who is pitching to, a 2.5 ERA lately. He shut out the Cubs in his last outing. He's been really impressive. And for Patrick Corbin, it just sucks because when he first came into the league, he was one of those guys that was in contention for a Cy Young type of season. He made the All-Star game in 2013, I believe, which was his first big breakout season. And this year has just been a disaster. For me, he's not worth putting on the mound on a consistent basis. I think they can find somebody else to put in the rotation and maybe move Patrick to the bullpen like he was after he came back from his elbow surgery. Tommy John surgery. Anthony Banda made a start on Saturday night, and on Friday night, and he pitched really well. What do you go? 6 innings, gave up 1 run in just his second outing as a major leaguer, getting his first major league win.
The only insult I might have on that is he walked in that run.
Yeah, he did, but he did only give up the 1 run, though.
Yes, but you can't be walking in runs. That's my only tiff I had with him on that night.
Sure, and he can definitely work on that. Again, it was just his second outing. So,
yes, exactly.
I mean, that's his location wasn't the greatest, but I think he's still a better option than Patrick Corbin is.
I definitely agree.
Yeah, I mean, it's at this point. I love Torey Lovullo. We've talked about how much we love him on this show, but something has to be done with Patrick Corbin. He, for some reason, Corey, he struggles in the first and second innings, and then he's able to get it turned around.
Well, like I said, he's not absolutely terrible to the point where you're just like, it wasn't like when Adaron Reed used to come in towards the end and we would literally be almost hurting ourselves, going, oh God, he's not trying to come in. He's not trying to come in. It's Adaron Reed. It was killing us. It's not like that type of scariness, like that type of terribleness, but it's still not good. I mean, you have to be at the point where you can have stellar pitching every part of your rotation, and you're correct. Banda came in and did a fabulous job. Only his second start in the major leagues. His first one was at home against the Nationals, and when you have these other kids coming in doing well, you yourself as a 4-year veteran have to realize you have to be doing the best that you can on a team that is trying to get the wild card.
Yeah. We'll leave the rest of the Diamondbacks session for another day. It's definitely an interesting discussion. We'll see what the future of Patrick Corbin holds. But we'd be remiss if we didn't talk about this, the biggest news out of Coyotes land this week. And we're going to touch on this really quickly because we're crunched for time here in this first segment. But unfortunately for the Coyotes, it looks like Jacob Chikrin, their stellar 19-year-old defenseman, entering his second season, is going to be out for quite a while. And if you're a Coyotes fan, it sucks.
Oh, it sucks really bad because he was going to be one of those key defensemen. I mean, they have Hjalmarsson that they brought in, and he's going to be great, and he'll be paired with OEL, but That's one D pairing. We need a lot more than just one D pairing, especially in the NHL. This isn't college. This isn't high school. This isn't youth hockey. You have to have depth. Depth is the biggest thing when it comes to hockey, because no matter what, you can't have them out there playing a crap ton of minutes. You have to be able to have that length on the bench, and he would have been definitely a help with that. And because he had 20 points in his 68 games in his rookie season. That's pretty good. And I mean, he definitely could have added to this team.
Yeah. So just to clarify what happened here. So he suffered some sort of a knee injury. We don't really know the extent of it. The Coyotes have been kind of mum as to what happened. Apparently, it was happening during training, during off season, and they're going to take a look at him again when training camp gets here and kind of update a timeline. But we don't really know at this point. I loved watching Jacob Chicken play last year. He impressed the living crap out of me. He's one hell of a skater. He clearly has some offensive instincts to go with his amazing ability to understand the defensive zone and where he needs to be and his positioning. And it's going to suck to lose him for any length of time for sure. But I think that I'll put a cap on that.
Really quickly, just to add to it, he did go through a successful surgery, and they said that they were going to be giving us an update. I don't know what that update will be, but it will be around September 14th.
Yeah, so we'll definitely looking forward to that. A couple of other things to mention real quick. Congratulations to Kurt Warner on getting into the Hall of Fame. Don't have time to talk about him, but we'll cap it there. Cori, what's coming up next?
Of course, we have to go to Richie's and everyone's favorite segment, and that would be his Dick of the Week.
Thank you very much, Cori. It is indeed time for my favorite segment on the show. It is time for my Dick of the Week. And this week, it is going to be outside of the world of sports for the first time on this program, because something happened to me earlier this week that really annoyed the living crap out of me. And that was, I went to a concert with my sister, got some free tickets, thanks to my station where I work, to the Matchbox 20 and Counting Crows concert. So I was looking forward to that. Matchbox 20, one of my favorite bands, has been for a long time. So we went out to Auction Pavilion, and we got there early enough to see Counting Crows, who I only know one song from them, which is Mr. Jones. And I will tell you, and this is mostly going to be to tell you guys to never go see the Counting Crows, because the Counting Crows are my Dick of the Week this week, because for the first time in my life, and I've been to plenty of concerts in my life, my sister and I nearly fell asleep during the Counting Crows set. That's how bad they were. They were boring. They were awful. They didn't even play Mr. Jones. And by the time they got off stage, I literally stood up and applauded them because they were done. And by that time, obviously Matchbox 20 was coming on next. I couldn't have been less excited for Matchbox 20 at that point. Usually your opening act gets you pumped, gets you excited, gets you ready for the headliner, Matchbox 20. But Counting Crows did not do that. They were awful. Thank goodness Matchbox 20 killed it. They were awesome. Congratulations, Rob Thomas, on a great show. But Counting Crows, you are my Dick of the Week.
Note to self, don't go to any Counting Crows concerts anytime soon. Duly noted. But back to sports. The Olympics will be back in LA in 2028, and it will be the first time that they've had the Summer Olympics since they had it in 1984, where 14 Eastern Bloc countries, including the Soviet Union, Cuba, East Germany, and a bunch of the others, there's all those over there.
Yeah.
The only ones that were there were Romania and Yugoslavia. And so since there's a lot more peace and all of that, and, it was because we had boycotted the 1980 Olympics and so on and so forth, it should be a much more peaceful Olympics in 2028. I mean, it's a decade away, so a lot of things can happen, but it should be exciting to have the Olympics back in the U.S. again.
We haven't hosted an Olympics in the United States since 2002, Salt Lake City. So it should be fun. I remember watching the Salt Lake City Olympics, and for that matter, the Atlanta Olympics too. and they were fun to have them here. I feel like, especially like after Rio and after Greece in 2004, like and Sochi in 2014, where these places that are like third world countries damn near are getting these Olympics, and then a year later, like you can see pictures of the Rio and in Greece, and the stadiums are just a mess. It has basically turned into one big cluster muck, basically, for these cities hosting Olympics who don't really have the infrastructure to do it. So for LA to get it, they can definitely host an Olympics. They've done it before, and I'm looking forward to it. It should be a lot of fun. I would love to go to an Olympics. It's on my bucket list for sure.
Well, you go from all of that to Paris and LA are like the two newest ones.
Yeah.
Paris and LA. I could definitely go to either of those.
I could dig both of them. That's way better than Rio, where there were bodies floating in the freaking ocean.
I mean, I don't.
Allegedly.
There was a lot of problems with Rio, and then what was before that? That was at Sochi. That was
Sochi
before that.
in 2014, yeah.
I have to admit, as horrible as their living conditions were, I thoroughly enjoyed people breaking out of bathroom doors because they got stuck in their bathroom and all sorts of stuff like that. You know, it was very entertaining for us back here in the States. For those that were there, not so entertaining.
Exactly. I remember watching, because we were still in school at the time, we were watching the 2014 Sochi Olympics on ASU's campus together.
Yeah, there was a lot of weird stories that came out of that one. It was either those or the fact that in Olympic, where they have all the Olympians like stay and everything, Olympic Village, that's what it is. They actually pass out condoms because of how many Olympians are sleeping with each other. I had no idea until that Olympics when that came out. I was like, this is the most entertaining Olympics that has nothing to do with the actual sports in the Olympics.
That's all you do during the Olympics is you shoot archery and you screw. That's what you do. With that, but okay, what are some of our favorite Olympic sports? You probably have some differing opinions on that. It could be either summer or winter. Maybe like your 3 favorite sports that you want to see.
Well, I have certain ones that like there's always the prime time ones like the beach volleyball and the gymnastics for like the summer, but I absolutely love watching ping pong and archery during the day. There's so many intense moments in ping pong. I swear they're always just sitting there and they wipe their face off and they're standing there above like the table. It's so funny. I thoroughly enjoy watching that during the day. But during the winter ones, I love bobsledding, which brings me to the Diamondbacks against the Cubs. And now that they have their bullpen enclosed, they ended up doing a whole entire skit of them bobsledding. We'll have our producer Fern put that in here over the top of me talking about it, but it was pretty awesome of them joking around pretending to bobsled. And then, of course, our favorite sport, hockey.
Yes.
We actually used to sit in class and watch hockey instead of paying attention in class. Sorry, ASU. But Olympic hockey was a lot more entertaining.
I would agree. So my favorite ones I'll stick to kind of the ones that are off the beaten path. So I'm a big fan of curling. I don't know. That probably surprised you a little bit.
I once sat in a Culver's with my dad and watched curling for 2 hours. We didn't realize that we were sitting there for that long, but it's very addictive. And it's kind of entertaining to watch them with their little brooms going. I really kind of enjoy it.
So that's fun to watch. And then I'm also a fan of during like the Summer Olympics, obviously track and field is solid. Beach volleyball, good as well. But I will pretty much watch anything in the Olympics. Like, for goodness sake, I was watching, rowing during the Rio Olympics? Like, I loved watching that. That was ridiculous. It doesn't matter what it is, I'll watch it. The only sport I will not watch in the Olympics is the horsies, the equestrian events.
Oh, I just really like when they do the one where it's like the pretty trot or whatever, where they're like supposed to trot really pretty, and the horses are doing, their like hooves are like coming up. They're like, tick, 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 tick. I love that. Watching that makes me so happy. I don't know why. They just look so happy. They're just prancing around everywhere.
I don't know why that's a freaking sport. But whatever.
Little side note there, Usain Bolt just got beaten for the first time. It wasn't in the Olympics, but had to do with track and field since you
Yeah, I'm
mentioned
glad you
it.
brought that up because we were going to talk about that at the top of the show too, but we didn't have time for it. Surprising, that's crazy. Usain Bolt's probably right up there with Michael Phelps as the greatest Olympic athlete of all time. And to see him lose a race to Justin Gatlin in a photo finish in what supposedly was Usain Bolt's final race it's kind of mind-blowing. It's hard to believe. I didn't think I'd ever see it, to be honest.
All the big ones are getting beat. Usain Bolt's getting beat by Justin Gatlin, and then you have Michael Phelps getting beaten by a shark on Shark Week.
Which that could also be a dick of the week too, because apparently, and I didn't watch this, we were on our way back from San Diego on the Sunday when he raced the shark. Apparently, he didn't actually race the damn shark. He raced like a CGI shark. Yeah,
it was computer generated. They time, as far as I know, they timed a shark, and then they timed him in open water, and then when they showed it on TV, they CG'd a shark next to him.
That's garbage. That's totally stupid. They should make that'd be an awesome Olympic event too. Would be racing animals,
or just athletes we don't like getting eaten by sharks.
Yeah, exactly. That's not. I've
been watching way too much Game of Thrones lately. I'm sorry.
So we are definitely looking forward to the Olympics in 2028. But let's touch on one more thing Olympics related, which is we got to be quick. NHL players aren't going to play in the 2018 Olympics in South Korea. What do you think?
I've never been a big fan of that because I understand you don't want them to be injured for the actual season, but at the same time, you're representing our entire nation. So no one has the balls to represent our nation. I mean, it's not the players that are doing it. It's the owners and, it feels so backed by money. And I would just, for once, like something to be seen as patriotism and not backed by money for once. After we talk about the Kaepernick debate and all the other stuff that's going on, and it all comes down, I feel to money and image in the very end. And some pure, unadulterated patriotism would be nice for once.
I agree. As far as the players, not NHL players, not in the Olympics, I'm not gonna miss them. I mean, I will watch hockey. I love both of us love the sport, so we're gonna tune in irregardless of whether or not we get to see douchebag Patrick Kane playing for Team USA. The World Junior Championships are one of my favorite things to watch in the world, and they're not NHL players, right? They're all junior players, and that's a lot of fun to watch. I think that's what we're going to get in this year's Olympics. We're going to get players that we don't really know much about, but we're going to get a chance to learn about, and then they can become the new stars of American hockey. I think that's something that's going to be really cool to watch, actually.
Which has happened before. There's been plenty of players that have gone out and they've done well in the Olympics, and people who don't watch hockey had no idea who they were. They come out, do well in the Olympics, and then all of a sudden everyone wants to watch them and their team. I almost feel like it's a better PR stunt because if they do well, then there's going to be non-hockey fans that are supporting that team after that.
Yeah, exactly. So unfortunately, no NHL players in the Olympics. But coming up next, Cori, we are going to have a little bit of fun. We're going to debut our brand new game show. How well do you know your co-host? Are you excited?
I am very excited. I'll have to end it off with my Cori's Corner, and then we can dig deep into the game show.
That's right, Cori. It is time to take a jaunt into Cori's Corner.
Yes, it's going to be a much more somber jaunt in Cori's Corner today. We'd like to start off with our sincerest apologies to Ketel Marte and his family after his mother died after a moped accident in the Dominican. I just wanted to recognize how wonderful sports is for the athletes who don't get much time off during the season, but can leave for when a loved one unfortunately passes. And it's great to see how a baseball family, a hockey family, any of those really come together and are there for their players and really bring them past that point of grievances that they've been going through. And I would like to acknowledge everything that the Diamondbacks have done for Ketel Marte during this time. It's been very beautiful to see, because these type of things, going back to work, it gives them the ability to play for that person that they had just lost. And a prime example of this was back in 2016. Michael Lorenzen, he was a relief pitcher for the Reds. He had just lost his father, and he had hit a 3-run home run, and it was the first of his career, literally the first game back. And he was there so relieved and so excited to know that he felt like his father had given him that home run, and he was crying as teammates were embracing him. It's just a beautiful thing to know that sports can be more than just an entertainment or just a sport. They can also be a support group for those who play it, and that everyone understands that in the time of loss, this is what they really need. So once again, we'd like to offer our condolences to Ketel Marte and his family in the Dominican, and just remind everyone that everyone has a bad day. Make sure to be there for them, just like they do in professional sports.
Cori, that was a terrific Cori's Corner this week. I will second exactly what you said to Ketel Marte's family. It's awful, but happy that they have, the baseball family that's able to pick him up after such a tough time. But so we'll give our condolences to Ketel Marte again. But we're going to move on here. We're going to switch gears in a major way, and it is now time for the debut of our game show. Now, there's some dispute as to what we're calling the game show, because I wanted to call it How Well Do You Know Your Co-Host? But director-producer extraordinaire Fern has a different name for our game.
Game of Hosts. I, myself, have not been too fond of all the killing and raping in Game of Thrones lately, but I'm only on season 2, episode 2. But everyone in our Sporty with Cori and Richie Suave crew loves Game of Thrones, which is why I'm watching it, including all the people I work with at the Diamondbacks. So we've been literally submerged in Game of Thrones the past week, and that's the only thing we've been talking about. So they want to call it Game of Hosts.
And that's what we're going to call it. It is now time, ladies and gentlemen, for Game of Hosts. There we go. There's the game show music playing underneath us right now. You can hear that at home. But let's get into this. So here's what we're going to do. We've each came up with 3 questions about ourselves to ask the other person, and so let's go ahead and start with you, Cori. Go ahead and ask the first question, and we're going to find out how well we know each other, because we've known each other for 4 years now, so I think we know each other pretty well.
Yeah, except we asked relatively difficult questions. Going off of the TV theme, my first one would be, what is my favorite TV show outside of Arrow? Because Arrow is very obvious. I've dressed up as 2 of the characters from Comic-Con for the past 2 years. I have an Arrow poster in my room. I have a Black Canary statue and a Black Canary stuffed animal. I have a lot of Arrow stuff in my room. Outside of Arrow, I've got Guardians of the Galaxy. But, I mean, that one would have been way too obvious. I mean, people watching the show probably could figure that one out. So outside of Arrow, before Arrow ever existed, there was another show. And they kept on mentioning it at Comic-Con because someone that was from that show was hosting something. And every time he would bring it up, I was really sad. And he also we were watching this thing that we were hosting. That we were watching the thing that he was hosting in our hotel room. And I think it was Sci-Fi that was putting it on.
Okay. I think I got this one. I didn't know this until now, but I know the hints have gotten me there. Is it Chuck?
Yes, I loved Chuck. It was one of my all-time favorites. I love it.
Wow, I actually didn't know that.
Yeah, it's amazing.
I didn't know you were that big of a fan of the show.
Oh my gosh, I loved it. I used to look forward to it every single week. It was so great. It was like if Nerd met Spy, but they added a lot of comedy into it. It was a massive amount of comedy. They worked at the Buy More, which was like Best Buy, but different. And they sang Rush songs. It was great. Just go check it out.
Yeah.
You'll like it.
I learned something new. I knew that you watched the show, but I didn't know that was your favorite. So I'm going to turn this around. I'm going to ask you the same exact question. I have made multiple choice just in case. I'm going to try to stump you on this one because I don't think you're going to get this. So what is my favorite TV show of all time? Is it Parks and Rec? Is it Game of Thrones? Is it Breaking Bad? Or is it Arrow?
My assumption would be Arrow. And if it's not actually Arrow, then I'm highly disappointed because you have a hardcore obsession.
Yes, I am obsessed with Arrow, but it is not my favorite show of all time.
It's my favorite show of all time outside of Chuck. You do have a deep love for Game of Thrones. And when Scotty tried to send you a spoiler last night, you refused to watch it. So, Game of Thrones.
You'd be incorrect. Only because I don't mention it that often, but Breaking Bad is actually my favorite show of all time. I think it is the most well-done TV show ever. It just literally gets better and better as it goes along. So Breaking Bad is my favorite TV show of all time.
Dang. That probably would have been my next guess, just because you go towards more serious stuff than comedies. So I probably would have chose Park and Rec last. But on to my second one. What event do I go to every year?
What event do you go to every year?
Mm-hmm. I couldn't give you really a multiple choice on this one because there's only a certain amount of events.
I know there's one because I know you've done it since you were a kid. I know you always like going to Supercross every year.
Yes, because I raced Supercross since I was 7. So that was when my parents finally would let me get a bike. So yes, it is like a holiday in my family. Back when I was at Chase Field, we used to go to Hooters, and then we'd go to Chase Field for Supercross. Now it's over at University of Phoenix Stadium. But yes, it is one of my most cherished memories that I'll always have because motocross was that and softball were literally my life for the longest time. So that is what I go to every year. Good job, Richie. What's your number 2?
So I think this one should be easy. I hope. We should get this. If not, I'd be thoroughly disappointed in you. Who is my favorite broadcaster? It's the profession that we're in. We're both broadcasters. We both went to school for it. So I have 3 choices here. Is it Bob Costas? Is it Dan Patrick? Or is it Doc Emmerich?
Well, I know everyone loved Bob Costas when he had pink eye. But I would have to go with Doc.
Yes, you'd be correct. I knew that was too easy for you.
Oh, yes. That one's very easy. But, I got to put in my little Bob Costas pink eye mention in there, so it made it all worth it.
Well done. Doc Emmerich is one of my idols. I used to do play-by-play for ASU's ACHA Division II team, and I loved it, and Doc Emmerich was an inspiration for me. And if I had a dream job, it'd be basically taking Doc Emmerich's job. So, well done, Cori.
Thank you. You've always done very well in play-by-play. So, anyone needs a play-by-play man, Richie's your man. My third one, I don't know if you'll get this one, but what is my favorite song of all time?
Ooh, that's a toughie without getting multiple choice.
Okay, that's why I didn't.
Well, hold on, I think let me try and take a guess at this. Because I remember I went to San Diego with you and your family for your 21st birthday. Yes. We went out to a restaurant and they played this song, I think. So I'm going to go with House of the Rising Sun.
You are correct. Yes! That was really good. Yes, House of the Rising Sun by the Animals, not by any of the other ones. I think Five Finger Death Punch did a version of it. And they called it Sin City instead of New Orleans, which is weird. The original House of the Rising Sun would be it. That was very good and without any multiple choice.
Yes.
If you were going to go to the multiple choice, I was going to give you some Kesha ones to trick you because we both listen to Kesha a lot.
Yes, we're both big fans of Timber.
Yes. I thought you were going to go for Timber, to be honest with you, but that's good.
Okay, so I have 2 more questions here, but I'll just go with one. I'll pick one or the other here. I'm going to go with this one. How about this one? So for those of you out there who didn't know, I am now a retired beer league hockey player. I played for 2 seasons. I scored 2 goals and 7 assists in about 40 games. I was terrible, but I had a lot of fun. And we had a name for our team.
Oh, I know this one already.
What was the name of my beer league hockey team?
You guys were the Sasquatches.
Yes!
And since you had to miss out on a game when you went to graduation, you wore your jersey to graduation.
Yes. I'll have to tweet out a picture of that because that is 100% true.
And your mom was pissed.
Yes. Because I didn't for whatever reason, I did not dress up underneath my gown, so I just was wearing shorts and the jersey underneath.
Yeah, it was. I definitely remember that one. And your entire Sasquatch career.
Yes. So there you go. That was Game of Hosts, and we both did pretty well. We both got 2 out of 3.
Yeah, so essentially we both won, so neither of us have to die.
Thank goodness. Hallelujah. Did I say that right, by the way? Did I say hallelujah right?
Hallelujah.
There you go. Perfect.
That's one of his words he can't pronounce particularly correctly.
So I'm glad I did that correct. But we hope you enjoyed this episode of Sporty with Cori and Richie Suave. Make sure to check us out on Twitter at Cori_Richie Show. Make sure to check us out on Instagram at Cori Richie Show. Check us out at Cori Nicole with 2 E's on Twitter, at rflores91 on Twitter as well.
And subscribe so that way you can see our beautiful smiling faces every week when we put out a new video.
Yes, indeed. Good night and good hockey, everybody.